I just got rejected from a job, but I also applied for a new job. That came into my feed. That's awesome. I mean, the job that I got rejected from, I probably wasn't going to enjoy it that much anyway. So that's rejection number 1. No, number 2? Yeah, number 2. So in theory, if it takes 100 rejections to get a job, 98 more to go. Anyway, so I'm continuing with my reading. I was reading earlier today, and I'm going to continue reading this website, but I will also move on to other stuff later. I guess if I do that, I'll probably switch to recording anyway, but let's keep going. So I went through all of these. I took some notes. I want to consolidate some of these ideas into a place where I can access them easily later. So let me control space here, looking for programming language ideas here. So this is cool programming language ideas, which I is like a list that I've compiled from my time looking at stuff. I don't know. OCaml style comments gets their own thing. What? Why is this here? This is a really weird place to put it. But anyway, it's like OCaml comments, implicit returns, which are first one Rust, type inference syntax, which uses this, the colon equals, number suffixes, pretty standard, but yeah, literals objects, very cool, or is it? Tuples. Yeah, I really don't like tuples, man. Expanded modulo, which is pretty cool. Flexible variable names, which is toaster, provoked by toaster. That's scary. No multi-lines. What? I don't even understand my notes now. Okay, it's probably anti, I guess. What the fuck? What's going on? Pipes, by far the coolest feature on this list so far. Errors as wrappers. This is the cooler feature that's on the list. Dude, errors as wrappers is crazy. Like this, is just like I don't know if C3 realizes it, but this is literally a new paradigm for handling errors, kind of, or like, I mean, it isn't, but like it hints at a potential new way to handle errors altogether, and it's really interesting. I really need to look into this more, because what it does is X is a wrapper, and if you catch the error at X, then X becomes usable, and that is a really interesting way of handling unwrapping. Literally, like, there's no question mark, there's no dot unwrap, there's none of that. It's literally just you catch the error, and then it removes it from X, it unbinds it from X. So that's really interesting. How good is it really? I don't know, but I think it could be quite interesting. Tags to loops, so C3, underscores between digits is now a pretty standard feature across all languages, and this is also really cool from C3. Dude, C3 is awesome. How have I not made a project with C3 yet? I have the compiler, the C3C, and I've used it to say like hello world, but I literally haven't started a project yet in C3. I kind of need to, bro, because like it just has some really interesting features, and even if like it doesn't have like proper object-oriented programming, and it'll probably be a similar situation as with Odin, where I was kind of disappointed. Like just like the error catching alone, error handling is just something I just need to try somehow. But anyway, I'm gonna add some more notes here from what I've read so far here. From here, because I should do that. So I'm going to talk about this one. Yeah, this one. Actually, I changed my mind. I'm not going to put it here. I need like some place to just like list programming ideas, language ideas, and like why they're good, why they're not good, and just like just have that, like just have a list. But I don't know how to do it. Let me make a new project note, and I'll call it programming language ideas. Yep. And maybe I'll merge it with this later, but for now I'll just create this. So programming language ideas. Let's go philosophies, but that's different. So programming language ideas, we just list them. So this is a list of language of ideas for designing a programming language. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I will include an analysis of the advantages of each idea, and give some examples of how they could be implemented as well. So first one, for instance, would be suffix not or suffix not. Yeah, not. I'll put a source here as well. Source. Unary operators necessary. Okay. Like inspiration, let's say. Well, in this case, it is source, right? But I'll say inspiration because I might change some things. Okay, so since having not trail at the end of a Boolean expression can make it easier to read, or can make it easier to process, to understand, as the keyword is closer to the thing it is negating. So for example, so compare these two. So language.users.map. I mean, this is something thing. Map. Map users.last name dot contains Smith dot not. So you got this versus this. So an example actually is more of a just a comparison. Before, after. But like, yeah, I mean, this dot not first of all, or dot not like this, right? Let me use a special operator here. What's a good operator? At not, colon not. Maybe. Okay. Pros, cons, right? So the idea is to change not from a unary prefix operator to a suffix. That is a prefix to a suffix attached directly to the expression it's negating. So that's a pro. Cons, actually I went to a list. I'll do like proper analysis here. Cons, this reads less naturally for an English speaker, although speaker, as we're used to putting the negation before before the object or the target. Hence I don't know, hence phrases that may technically be grammatically correct, like gone I have not. I have gone not. I've gone to the park not. Actually, that's not even correct, is it? But yeah. Before the target. I'm actually not gonna do a pros and cons because I want to intertwine them. However, this is actually before the target. This is language dependent though, as Japanese, I think Turkish does, as Japanese, as those with similar grammar to Japanese typically put the negation at the end. Yeah, I think the same goes for like Turkish, Tamil, Korean. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll have like analysis here, and I'll have implementation. It would be strange to have to use the suffix like a property of the expression. Expr dot not, especially as it would then look more fitting as a function call. Expr dot not. Instead, it may be better to have specialized syntax for suffix operators. For suffix unary operators. In the above example, I just used boom boom, but other symbols like $, Pipe symbol maybe? Can you pipe into not? But then it's like, again it's like not as a function. Like not as a function, but like it's not quite the same. Like could also work. Expression dot not. Expression dot not. Expression colon not. I don't know. Expression colon not. Expression the fuck. Stop. Expression colon not. It's annoying. Expression $ not. Expression underscore not or dash not. I don't know. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I just wanted to write that down, you know. There are other ideas. There are other ideas that I am aware of that I will not add to this list because they truly have practically no flaws and are already mass adopted anyway. Yeah. So like mostly like niche ideas is what I'll be adding. I mean not niche, but like ideas that have not been done by other people yet. Or like mainstream. That hasn't hit the mainstream is what I mean, sorry. Otherwise it sounds like I don't know. Where's my sidebar? I should have a table of contents. But I actually just realized I don't have it. And I'm not sure why. Like, did I disable it or? That's this sidebar. Yeah, I can't even see like the button for read mode or anything. Why is that? It's here now. And then I have this here. But for some reason it hides it otherwise? That's kind of strange. Anyway, table of contents. Help me just navigate these better. More easily. Really want to change the order of these. Okay. Better. Right, so suffix not. Okay. Anything else from this, real quick? There is the if statement stuff, but that's a bigger topic. Some ideas are quite big. Well, I'll do like this. If with pattern matching, which is better stated, pattern matching if. Main note, unifying unified? Unify if and match. Why is it hidden? Why is it hidden? My projects shouldn't be hidden. Yeah. I'll just leave it there for now. Anything else from this guy? Useful syntactic sugar. There are a lot of ideas that I didn't... What the hell? Did you see that? Hold on. That's an Argentinian flag. Oh, because it's football. Are there new things in the shop? Who's trying to find me? Some bot. Yeah. Tienda. Is there World Cup stuff going on? That looks like a new feature, right? Frames. Estados Unidos. Luces de moto. But what are these colors? Brazil! Brazil! Where are these frames from? Oh god, bruh. It's just more and more. Rust. Bro, there's a Rust collab. We need like the Rust language collab, you know what I'm saying? Exclusives of orbs. Any frames in the orbs? Nope. Explorar. Marcos de perfil. That's the frames. Yep. Popular. Give me like pink. Actually, I'll just sort by thing here. Anime. Or naturaleza is what I want. Something nature. That isn't fucking gemstones, bro. Though. Primavera, Sakura. Pretty cool. Ese artículo no se puede añadir a las listas de deseos en este momento. I can't add it to my wish list. Well, shit. Okay. Where's the football stuff? Nothing. No, wrong one. Mostrar todos. Todos. Football. Inglaterra! Bro, it costs 4,100 orbs? Looks shit, dude. English flag. Ooh. Yo, I would get the French flag, I'm just saying. Mbappe! Yeah, I've been getting really into football lately. And I think like a big part of it is just Mbappe. Like that 2022 World Cup performance, watching that, like that is easily the best World Cup final I've ever seen. And like it makes you want more, you know? Cuz like the reason that I've never really liked football is because a lot of it's really lame. But then you get plays like that where Mbappe tells his team, you know, don't give up, you know, like, and then like in the last 20 minutes he scores 3 goals. A hat trick, by the way, in the world final against Argentina. Takes it to penalties, he scores, and then his 2 teammates miss, which is a tragedy. Oh my god, bro, the Ghanaian flag is so aura. Can I wish list that? I can. Sick. Depending on, well, first of all I need to get a job, but assuming I get a job so I can actually afford this stuff, you know, without like, well, I can justify buying this stuff. Oh, this is France. What was the other one? Yeah, so depending on how the World Cup goes, I will I might buy one of these to support a team. Boy, Japanese flag. I mean, this is cool because like we just generally get countries, right? In fact, I don't think this is World Cup, is it? I think it's just countries. Canada, Czech Republic isn't in the World Cup, I don't think. If they are, then I'm so fucking stupid. Asia del Este, Oceania, Australia, Senegal, Jordan, Ecuador, Cape Verde, Curacao. Actually, no, these are World Cup countries. Scotland. Central America and the Caribbean. Egypt, Mexico, Belgium, North America, Europe, Qatar, Alemania, Germany, Uzbekistan, South America. This is a cool flag. I want like a world flag. That'd be really cool. Cause like right now my profile is right now my profile is like this like flower or like meadow thing. But I would like some like national, not national, but like international, you know, like whatever. Like, the issue is like I'm English, but I'm also Ghanaian, right? And I'm also German. So, oh well. Anyway, holy sidetrack. What was I doing? What was I doing? I actually don't know what I was doing. I went on Discord for some reason, but I forgot what it was. Get sugar. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not a fan of this. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just not even going to entertain it. Because it's not an idea I like. At all. What else you got? Modern minimal. Yeah, actually, let me revisit this real quick because I didn't actually understand what was going on with this. Let me see if I can understand it more now. So namespaces, I still don't understand. Annotations, I understand. They want to remove keywords and add annotations instead, which I think won't work. I think it's a misguided. Like again, like I can't even write about this because it's like to me it just doesn't make sense. So I can't even really like consider it. Nesting. I don't understand what they mean there. Oops. Fields, methods, and properties. They had some idea there. I want to revisit that. Control flow, yeah. They said remove, break, and continue, which I think is interesting. I don't know why loop is crossed out, but exceptions, yeah. No exceptions. Goes without saying. Removing, breaking, and continue is interesting. To that end, even there's ideas and also anti-ideas. You know, like the anti-features. Anti-features, I won't necessarily consider yet. I'll come back to those later somehow if I need to. Constructors, I just don't understand what that means. I don't understand what literals means. I do want to read this identity equality thing that's coming up somewhere. I think here that's comparing and sorting. Oh, here, yeah. There's a few different like things there, so that'd be good to look at. Fewer special cases, not more. Yep. So no union operators. Fewer binary operators. For the binary operators one, this one just generally makes like it basically just said remove some operators, which is like okay, fine. You do that if you want to. Let me actually address this now. I think symbols are not a bad thing. I think once you get used to them, even if like they don't necessarily carry any meaning outside of programming, I think they're quite good because it lets you write things in a shorter way, right? Which is why they're pretty cool. Now, I will say, if you can instead of having an operator, if you can have a keyword that is 3 letters or less, then use that instead. So like instead of the and operator, have just the word and, have or, have not, right? Those are completely fine. Equals, however, is more cumbersome and is better, more easily represented with an equal sign, right? And not equals as well. Like exclamation mark equals looks a bit funky. I mean, I would probably use slash equals, but still. Like power function and whatnot. Like with Haskell has a lot of fancy operators, right? Like the bind operator is good for binding. Piping operator is pretty cool. I don't know. Although piping is more like a built-in operator. Yeah. Never mind. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point. Right. Magic methods in all types. I don't know what that means, man. Connection literals, no. Array syntax, no. Instance of syntax, no. Cast syntax, no. Okay, generics with no. Member deficient syntax. This one is more interesting. So, having consistent, like, lengths for these keywords. Because code is monospace, that, you know, that instinctively makes us want to also care more about spacing in general. Like vertical space is what I mean. Such that we want things to look nice on one line. Plus, if things are on the same line, it makes it easier to edit them in editors like Vim or Emacs or NearVim, because because in those apps you navigate, you know, going up and down rows and columns directly, as opposed to pointing your mouse and clicking. So having them be in line is really makes editing a lot more efficient. I can also be good for reading because your eyes don't have to like look for stuff as much. Downside is you have to be more careful. Not be more careful, but like think harder about what to name things, and some names just won't be available anymore. Same length related keywords. Inspiration. Yeah. So for related keywords like if, else, like if and else, or var and const. Instead, use words that are consistent in length. Like case and else, or if, or var and let. 3, this one's 4. Yeah. So an analysis. What I call it, an analysis? I don't know. Analysis, breakdown, whatever. This is really useful for Vim-like editors where navigation is via rows and columns rather than point and click. It also makes visual parsing just a bit easier. Yeah. Visual appeasing. Yeah. It also benefits visual parsing as a however, it also obviously narrows the potential, the possible words that can be used, and one must be careful not to choose cryptic, ambiguous, confusing words simply to conform to length, a target length. Okay. Implementation. For if statements / expressions. You could have case and else, if and or, one of the best options, if and or, bad because or should be a Boolean operator instead. Case else, if or, when and else. If 5 equals 3, when 5 equals 3, do this. A bit confusing, but ultimately solid. For loops, I mean, for loops, you just unify with a single loop keyword, right? And that make things a lot easier. Yeah, probably. Bah. Yeah, that's fine then. Return statements, break, continue. What break could be stop, right? So for loops, for break and continue, does it have stop and skip? Pretty damn good, right? Yeah. Anything else? Like module stuff? I saw like import, export, package, module. Yeah, module level control. So like import, export, and module. That's 6. Or like imp, exp, and mod. Oh, that's just confusing for other reasons. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is that everything that I was kind of thinking of? More or less. So let's keep reading on. Hell. Just looking here. Okay, so mistakes were made. Popular but wrong. I've already looked at this, but let's have another look. Again, like I wish they explained why they're wrong instead of just like making it like an arbitrary list, or like a seemingly arbitrary. Static members. I don't understand why that is an issue. Properties. This. Modifies annotations. Async await. I don't know enough about async await to really comment on that. Separate namespaces, method overloading, why, namespace declarations, double imports. I don't know what an example of that looks like. Special states for casting. I don't know what that would look like. Requiring this or methods without parameters. This I prefer to keep that. Okay. I talked about piping, right? When I was reading, yes, I was. It was the Gleam language tour. I believe I took notes on pipelines. Yep, with a function capture syntax. That's pretty cool. So piping or targeted piping. Inspiration, Gleam, language tour. Allow or specify where have the programmer specify which argument, which parameter the return the value, the expression should be passed into. So like before you'd have like, I don't know, 3, no, let's say we have like a list, right? So like 3, like whatever, and then you'd pipe it with or without indentation. I guess it's up to you, but let's do with for now. So we pipe it into, let's say, map some lambda, yeah. I mean, this isn't Rust, by the way. I'm just using Rust for this syntax highlighting. Map x to x plus 3, and then I don't know, divide. No. What can you do with this? I can map it. I can fold it. Fold. With x, y, x plus y. So just sum, basically. So sum. And then I don't know. ToString, let's say. ToString with let's do format. And then after, you have the same array, and then but instead pass it map this function onto this. Take the sum of that, and then take the format with results. Yeah. Let's put this like here instead. Just for like the sake of example, you know? So analysis. The main benefit of this, the main benefit is that you can now run piping on all sorts of functions, regardless of the order of parameters. Yeah. Going a step further and making this required for all functions, well, for all uses of piping, also avoids strange looking parentheses-less syntax, well, code, function calls. Yeah, so it's like sum versus sum. But, and isn't all that more cumbersome to type. Yep, and then implementation. A wildcard boom probably makes the most sense, but other symbols like boom, other symbols like $, could of course be used instead. Would also be cool to make it flexible, to allow this. So like, let's say I have 3, 9, 12, 4. I'm going to map x onto x plus 3, right? Then have that wildcard. And then for the sum, I want to take this like times 2. And then I have format result. Why is that good? Because it means I don't need to add another step here. That's like times 2. So times 2, and that's like wildcard plus minus 5 to make it to make it intuitively flexible like this. Well, yeah, we'll do minus. Pretty cool, right? I think so. So maybe wondering, Kojo, what's the point of this? Well, basically, it just gives you a way to put these all on one line without having to like store a variable. Like this would basically just be syntactic sugar for like this. Let temp equal 3, 9, 12, 4, and then let temp, we're going to shadow it, equals map x 3, and and then let temp colon equals, well, I guess you don't need to actually shadow it in this case, but sum temp times 2, then temp equals temp minus 5. I know you could do minus equals, but let's assume that that's not an option, and then results temp. Actually, no, you can't redefine it because the type changes, doesn't it? So yeah, you'd have to shadow it. Which means it's basically just syntactic sugar for this. Temp is shadow. Yeah. Pretty cool, right? I mean, really, it's syntactic sugar for this, which is format, results, colon, boom, right? With here we have minus 5, then there we have, because like, you know, if you go backwards recursively, we have this times 2, which is mapping of x to x plus 3, with our list 3, 9, 12, 4. Which we would probably traditionally make more readable using temporary variables. Yeah, kinda grim. And the cool thing is, you can also, I suppose, include like a print, right, at the end, where print is just a function that returns void, and that's it. So let me add this as well. Print line, print line. Yeah. It would also be very good to add another idea that's just come to my mind. I can't remember where I got this from. Maybe it was Gleam. Debug printing, like specialized debug printing. So this was, I think, inspired by Gleam. Let me find the specific section. Yeah, there. And this one was piping, right? Pipelines. Yeah, so introduce an echo, a special echo keyword / function or similar keyword function that is specifically used to print stuff in debug builds without needing to import any IO modules manually. Yeah, so analysis. This would be really useful for quick debugging. I've had many an instance in C++ where I want to quickly log something to the console while working on a library that lacks IOStream or print imports, and thus I have to annoyingly add and later remove #include IOStream or equivalent. There are really no downsides here. Plus if it were only available for debug builds, plus if it only printed, plus if it was filtered out of debug builds, also of release builds, then you could leave useful debugs without having to import your own logging library. Debug logging library. Implementation. It would also be legendary if the echo, if the function would return the argument. Yeah, would return the input argument. Well, that wouldn't even work, would it? No, I mean it would work. Would return the input argument such that it can be used to debug functional like code. Yeah. So this could either be a keyword like echo x, like echo 5, or a built-in function call like echo 5, maybe with a prefix to indicate it is built in, like echo, like at, I don't know, like $sign echo 5 or something. The language's compiler would need to have flags for debug and release, or at least have a flag to include / exclude invocations, well, calls to the debug print, calls to the debug function. Okay. And its name should ideally be short, hence echo works decently, but could also have something like debug or dbg. Or I don't know, dprint. Probably not. Okay. This way, yeah. Then having the so let's take my example here from the thing, right? So 3, 9, 12, 4. Let's pipe that into map with x plus 3, which I'll just simplify to just, well, no, I'll keep it simple. Yep, and then echo. Could do like this, to be fair. In fact, I will say this, because then, let's say echo comes with like formatting as well, then you could do like this. Step 1. It would be best if the function supported formatting without having to call a format function. Something akin a parameter list akin to standard print line in C++. So step 1, right? And hold on. Right? Yeah. Are we done? Go let my brother in real quick. Hold on. Some. Right, and then like you would echo. Step 2. Like that, right? And format results. Well, I guess not. But like something like that, you know? And then like return. I don't know. Maybe not. this is honestly like a deal breaker. Like if this was added, like piping and debug printing in like C++, just add that, and we are so much better. Like these two features could really just make such a massive difference in code. Like it's honestly insane. Okay, implicit numeric conversions, have a look at that. TLDR, the desire to make unrelated types act as if they were in a subtyping relationship, which neither exists nor should exist, combined with syntax sugar that makes static dispatch look like dynamic dispatch, creates a perfect storm of unintended harmful consequences. Yikes. Implicit numeric conversions are a special compiler feature in Scala that adds convenience conversions between number types. For instance, num double equals 123, so it's like putting 0.0 at the end, because for some reason floats must have 0.0. You can't have a normal literal. Yeah, I don't think that's an issue, but sorry, I just thought of another thing here. For declarations, you could have var, val, and fun. The issue with var and val, the first two are difficult to differentiate, are too similar. That's the issue there. Let's do it later. Var, val, and fun. Let, var, let, and fun. Let stands out as a, like function A equals this, var A equals this, let A, like it's stands out for being read differently, right? What's it got, like const, funct, and I mean for functions this is like proc, right, like procedure. Right, let's say funct, varia, varble, variable, verbal, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, this is described as a mistake by the designers of Java. It's a term to describe the general concept in the document. In practice, approaches have been tried to implement this concept. A, literal implicit defs in the source code, which exist only for educational purposes and are not actually used by the compiler anymore. B, the non-present methods. Okay, what the hell. It was really delightful to go through Java Puzzlers, another book that I wrote with Neil Gafter, which contains all the traps and pitfalls in the language and exercise them one by one. This is a quote. Yes, so this is the quote of the Java guy. The things are mistakes. Int to float is a primitive widening conversion, happens silently, but is lossy if you go from int to float and back to int. You often won't get the same int you start off, because this, use some of the bits, use with expert method, Matisa, so you lose precision. When you go to float and back to int, you'll find that you didn't have the int you started with. So it was a mistake. That's not really what he was talking about. I mean, this is fine. I don't see an issue here. Like 123 should just like if you assign like a raw literal here to a double, like just interpret it as a float, and it's fine. You know? And like it's a double. I don't see why that's an issue. It suddenly destroys data, constantly apply, become more inconsistent. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, like like it should be implicit, but like this is completely fine. I think. Like for this particular case, should be fine. The good intentions. Inferring the type of list 1 2.3 to the useless common supertype of list any val as int and double do not have any interface in common was deemed to be too confusing for beginners coming from Java. Instead, but that's fine though. Compile magic in the shape of implicit numeric conversions were added to convert small number types to larger ones. Yikes. The bad, type inference. Scalars, type inference makes the behavior a lot more confusing compared to languages with mandatory type annotations. Creating a list with two numbers triggers the conversion, concatenating two lists with one number each does not. I think this is fine. And I think this is fine. I mean, aside from the fact that you're implicitly constructing a list of any val, which is a bit strange, but like, this is fine. Why is this a problem? Because we're using literals. Like 1 is not an integer literal here. It is a double literal because of the context it's in. I guess the argument is in like, well, then the compiler needs to like look ahead and see that like this is a double, this is an int, so let's convert this instead to a double. But only if it's like a valid double. I don't know, man. This doesn't really bother me. Numbers of ints are converted to long, but not to big int. Okay. Auto conversion. Sorry, what? Again, like that's assuming that your number literals have a fixed type anyway. What I would advocate for is variable literals that dynamically choose the appropriate type at compile time. So like if I have a 1 and 2L, then because this one is explicit and this one isn't, then this one will just conform to this one. Likewise, this could be anything right now, but then we're assigning it to this, so we're going to make it a double. And likewise, if it was just 1 by itself with like nothing to go off of, then it would simply choose the smallest suitable one, which would be a, I don't know, like a U8, right? And then that's what you get for your inferred type. Or even just don't allow automatic literal thingies. Like you must specify what your literals are. That's also fine. Okay. Extension methods. Hold on. This is scalar, right? Okay. The ugly extension methods. Another feature of Scala makes implicit numeric conversions much worse. Java decides to come without any methods. Okay. Round floor to new string to degrees. Okay, this is an issue with the round function, I would say, not with the actual concept itself. this is an int, right? And this is a float. This has an implicit return type, which is really annoying because I can't tell what the fuck it is. I do not like implicit return types. I think that's a mistake. Round. So this presumptively this shows a float, and it compares it to this float. So, but that's reasonable, because like that's what it is. Like yeah, like it looks weird, but like you've passed a float here, you've rounded it, and then you compare it to a float with precision loss. Like that is kind of just a computer science issue with floats in general. Like you can't really what are you gonna do? Have this be false because round returns an integer? Like yeah, you should if this takes an integer, but it takes a float. So I don't really know what the solution to that is supposed to be. To me, it seems pretty reasonable, given the constraints of float. What? I don't know what the hell this is valid. I think numeric literal conversion is fine. Anything beyond that is obviously not. This is goofy. Yeah, this is the issue really. They potentially round and float and double. Okay. Package objects in scalar. I wish I like there's like a GitHub link or something so I could see what this person has like programmed with. This is their GitHub. Websites in JavaScript. React. Scalar. I assume the websites are in Scalar, right? No. That's a blog post. Interesting. Is there even code for this? It should be, right? It says JavaScript. Where is the JavaScript? It's in assets. I mean, you probably could have guessed that, but like. Weird. Gem Jekyll. So he uses gem. Ruby gems. What is gem? I have no idea. Okay, cool. So this is sock. Rust, Java, JavaScript. Move to JV. Move to Codeberg. This is the core language, which I will look into later. I'm very excited to. I'm actually quite excited to see what the core language looks like. Only 8 repos here. We got JavaScript, Java, Go, and Rust. In fact, is that it? Like, is it the same ones? Rust, Java, Go, Scala as well. Okay. Interesting. So Scala and Java and then Rust is quite interesting. Right, Rust design mistakes. This will be interesting. Ooh, let me have a quick skim of this. So get the package object bar define QE UX equals question marks. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, next one. Fixing Rust mistakes. Is that what it said? Interesting. Okay, let's have a look. Syntax. As Rust 2.0 is not going to happen, Rust users will never get these language design fixes. Does Rust really design mistakes? Rust 2 breakage wish list already? Broken and unfixable parts of Rust. Analysis of Rust language design flaws. That'd be a good read. A note on the lower bar of a hypothetical Rust 2.0. An article touching on Rust 2.0 and its reactionary reception made it apparent that language evolution has 2 boundaries. Things hypothetical language is not allowed to improve for compatibility reasons. Things that are hypothetical needs to improve for such an effort to be worthwhile to contributors and users. Yeah, like Python 2.0, Python then 3.0, right? That happened. When was that actually? 2008. That's insane. I guess 4.0 was not on the horizon. Yeah. I don't know any other languages that have a 2.0, to be fair. Like Scratch, I guess, but that doesn't really count. For Rust, we know the exact coordinates of the first boundary, but very little about the second. As such, critical engagement is poorly received by the community. Yeah, but fucking Rust programmers can piss me off sometimes. I mean, literally all programmers can piss me off. Nonetheless, only a cursory look is needed to conclude that Rust 2.0 is very unlikely. The lower bar is above the upper one, i.e. the required changes to make it worthwhile are largely the Rust leadership. Acceptance for change. Shots fired. This doesn't mean that we can't explore the second boundary and collect these unacceptable fixes as a learning opportunity for future language designers. Tell them, bro. Tell them. If Rust will fix his issues, someone else will. Drop this struct in syntax. Ooh, interesting. Okay. This is a contention I have with Rust, actually. So this is very interesting. Hold on. I don't know what I'm doing. There's also a reason why invoking functions, initializing structs and enums, and initializing tupled structs and enums have to follow different rules. Especially considering that half the people immediately define a... Okay, for the record, I don't like if footnotes like this. I think footnotes should be used for like references. But like notes like this, like literal like notes, should probably be in line. Defining new functions to avoid struct and initializing syntax. Is that true? I don't. Because I can't be arsed, but like, yeah. Having the choice between both is already a net negative. It's true. Instead, do away with the distinction between tupled versus non-tupled structs / enums, and standardize on this. Ooh. Fuck. No, dude. I can't with initialization and function calls. Like C++ literally had this issue, didn't it? And like it was a problem. So why are we doing this? Do not use that. Please don't use that. I know enums look different, but enums shouldn't look different, and tuples shouldn't be different. Tuples and enums should use curly brace syntax, not the other way around. So this is no. I mean, again, this is me coming from C++, where I really don't like how we have this for initialization syntax. I don't know if SOC has used C++ to any extent, but like, this is here, right? Okay, that's the next article. Name parameters using equals after dropping the special syntax. Sorry, what? Where's this? Is this in like structs thing? After dropping the special syntax for struct literal initialization, use equals to name parameters for any kind of invocations in Rust. This allows you storing the intuition that equals is followed by a value and colon is followed by a type. Yep, I don't like how, for some reason, in structs, you do colon instead of equals. I think that's really weird. I don't know why the hell the language does that in Rust. Why Rust does that, but it's goofy. See this article's appendix for an evaluation of available design options. We'll see it later as well. Use this instead of this for generics. Turns out trying to preserve the stranger's budget can fix a broken design. Can't fix, sorry. What is the stranger's budget? I need to read that. I'm okay with this if you don't use square brackets for anything else. And I mean anything else. Like not for arrays, and not for array access either. And that's, I think, basically it, actually. Then I'm on board with it. Because that overlap would be bad. And, yeah, but also, like, don't, like, take, like, array syntax and give it to, like, function syntax. Don't do that either, please. Just, yeah, I don't know. Man. Like, or even don't use these for generics at all. Like, have some other way to do generics, but... Anyway, it takes up way too much, drop range syntax. It takes up way too much language footprint for very little actual benefit. It's a source of language expansion proposals, and the actual implementation of Rust suffers from quite a few other problems. That hand is freaky. But also based. Damn. This is cool. It's like, I mean, it's a bit like choppy, but like for what it is, like I think it's kitchen roll. That's awesome. That's a really cool blog. Fish, who are you? An Apple software engineer. Please tell me you have like a GitHub or something. Recent posts. 2021. Still active on Twitter though. I'll follow. Oh, what's this? Is this now? 2-0 Netherlands. That's why it's there. Japan, Sweden. What? It's been like 2 days since I kept up with this. Is this done? Or is it going? It's going. Wait, they're both going together at the same time? Wow, so the Netherlands are already 2-0 in, which I guess isn't surprising. Haaland is not Netherlands. Van Dijk is. Sweden... Okay. Japan have had 2 shots on targets, that's good. I'm hoping for Japan to win. They already got a yellow card and 4 fouls from Sweden, but Japan has 7 fouls. But 0 cards, that's good. 1 offside, yikes. So they have scored then, right? I assume. but it was just not there. I mean, it looks like Japan's going to qualify anyway. No. Draw, yes. Yes, draw. Yes, no. So if Sweden win, they could actually take Japan's place. Come on, Japan. I want to see Japan in the World Cup properly. Anyway, range syntax. Let's take a detour. Range is a foundational type with magic syntax, but a simple definition. Any Rush tutorial, random feeling borrows. So any Rush tutorial will cover borrowing, lifetime's ownership. You think you understand, then this. What? Feature 5 dot contains 4. 4 is a literal. You need to borrow because you can't, like, own a number, man. No, okay. It's because what if you wanted to make a range vec instead? You know what this screams to me? Overloading. I mean, dude, why? Who approves this? Who saw this and said, yeah, this is a good idea? Let's have borrowing literals. Because we need to also support this. And we don't want to use overloading. We can't use overloading. Nor can we add a special rule in our language where you can both borrow or pass by value depending on what the circumstances. Seriously? And like, why can't you have borrowing and then also pass by literal if you want to? Like, you can optionally borrow. Because I guess contains takes a reference. But like, it is overloaded, right? Because one is use size, one isn't. Is there a reason for this? No, it's not overloading because this is these are different ranges. What? What's this clip?
Dad, do you mind? Your feet are really close to my potato.
Your potato? You can't, like, own a potato, man. It's one of Mother Earth's creatures.
Goat. I need more explanation for why the fuck. Okay. Ranged needs random feeling clones. You know why I hesitate to use Rust? Like, I would love to switch from C++ to another language. Because Rust is... Sorry, C++ is like pretty fucking painful to use. Like the ergonomics are disastrous. They are horrific. And while I appreciate the language and all it's done, and that it keeps getting development, which makes it, you know, better and better and adds more features, like, there is a point where, you know, I will use C++ for fun, sometimes fun, and use another language for serious things. And, like, Rust just has so many stupid decisions that it can't backtrack on, and that, well, it would refuse to. That's just like, do I even use Rust? Like at this point, I'd rather just look for another language or make my own language, which is literally what I'm now doing by reading all these different language design things. So annoying. Range needs random feeling clones. We're not done picking on the board checker. Range makes you clone even when there's no ownership transfer. Range could be copy, but some ranges are also iterators, and you might copy one by mistake. Bro, okay. It's like, is generic programming the issue? I don't understand. Why is this compromising on this? And why... I don't even understand. Why... Like, this actually looks correct. Because even though there is no ownership transfer, I feel like it should just be a rule in Rust where if you don't pass by reference, then it gets consumed, no matter what. Just to have, just to have like consistency, you know. So honestly, I don't mind this a terrible bunch. What's annoying is that for with cloning, is that this one doesn't have a clone, this one does, and if I want to like keep using R afterwards again, I need to then turn this one into a clone. So I have to like update this code just to add more code. Look, the board checker is a very cool like construct and it works very well, but the code that you have to write to get it to work is, at least in Rust, is, I don't like it. I don't like it. And it's annoying too, because in C++ I literally have 0 like use after free errors and like all that kind of thing. Like that just doesn't happen. I mean, obviously it does happen to people and like it can happen to me still, but my point is like I feel like I'm compromising on just having nice readable code by sucking the board checker's schlong. Like I don't particularly. Anyway, this is abusing the board checker as a bad linter. Range undermines the story of lifetimes and ownership, making the board checker feel arbitrary. I see. Because you can't own everything. Not everything can own, rather. Range is unsure when it is valid. Rust will happily construct a backwards range, which ends before it's... Okay. Before we go any further, I know this article is talking about Rust, for like ranges and stuff, but ranges are so cool. Like, ranges are actually so freaking cool, and yet you have to... And yet, Rust is the issue. Okay? Rust is the issue. Rust will have a backwards range, which ends before it starts. 5-0. What? I'm speechless. I'm actually speechless. Why? Like, forget this. Like, forget the... Let's read first. Is this backwards range valid? Its length is 0. It contains nothing. You use something as an iterator. But if you try to use index into a slice, you get a panic. Great. So it's just exposed in your face. Really weird that that's even allowed then. This is because, again, you can make a range of anything. Then you use the ability to make a range of non-comparable things. A range of dynamic error can't be invalid. So a range of it never gets to be. What? A range of dyne error. I don't understand. A practical problem is writing correct bounds checks. Dude, why are so many of these issues just like generic stuff that like plagues other things? That's really weird and a really weird design decision that like they chose to compromise on. Like, how are you gonna not have like say no overloading, but then allow trait overloading and generics, but then have generics fuck over other generics? Oh my god, bro. A practical problem is writing correct bounds checks. For example, consider the get and check function on slice. It says an out of bounds index is undefined behavior, but never defines what out of bounds means. Yeah, and like, the bigger issue here is why isn't this valid anyway? Why isn't it 543210 or 54321? Because 0 I guess isn't included. Like why can't you make it backwards range? Like if I want to iterate backwards, I have to what, do 0 to 5 dot reverse or something? Like what? I don't understand, man. I don't understand. Range height of foot gun. In C++, it's easy to shoot yourself in the foot. Well, in C++, it's harder to shoot yourself in the foot, but when you do, you blow your whole leg off. Meanwhile, Rust has a foot gun. A reject engine often deals in ranges of char, for example A to Z. Should it use range char? No. The foot gun is this, which is the largest char. Range char cannot represent this value, even though it has the bits to do so. Again, why? Please explain. Is range inclusive a better choice? This uses an additional bool field to mean stuff, and it needs to be simply checked in several places. This is a silly expressive representation, pushing range inclusive char to 12 bytes, even though it would fit in 8, with bits to spare. Not a good choice for a perf sensitive regex algorithm. Yeah, performer sensitive, dude. Bro, kill me. A recipe for ranging range. The problem is range is overloaded. It's too flexible. It wants to be everything. Sometimes it's a set, sometimes an iterator, sometimes a slice index. You can make silly ranges out of anything. Okay. So for a different approach, limit range to copy plus partial OR types. There may be occasional uses for range string or range big num, but it's not worth forcing borrowing for the common case. Yeah, I agree. Now that range always knows how to compare its ends, enforce a start less than equal end of construction time, or allow reversing. The freeze allow voice of voice looks valid actually explodes problem. Range is empty, could be written naturally instead of a bizarre way. Get would need to branch once, not twice. Well, cool. I like that this actually proposes a solution as well. But that is insane. Drop range syntax. You don't need to drop it. I think the syntax is fine. It's the other issues. Drop array and slice syntax. This frees up the bracket pair for more useful purposes like type parameters and arguments. Yeah, I agree. It's just like a nicety really, because like doing .get is kind of annoying, but fair enough. Maybe there's an operator instead that we could use for that, like I don't know, the $ operator to mean gets index or something like that. Fold index and slice syntax. Now, that is controversial. I will think about this more when I next use slice syntax. Fold index and index means into a function trait family. Providing traits to let people decide how round they want their function call parentheses to be is not a useful feature. What do you mean, how round? I don't understand what that means. Index and index mute. Okay. I don't like this. Look. Replace impl with purpose focus alternatives. Interesting. There are roughly 3 different purposes for which impl is used. Disentangle these purposes. Drop the impl keyword and make the replacements feel more cohesive with the language. Interesting. Replace impl definitions that add methods to a struct/enum with methods in the struct/enum body. Yes. I am inclined to agree, except what if you want to extend the available functions it has? I don't know. But yeah, this is kind of weird. Putting it here is even weirder. Look. Guys, fuck, structs aren't functions, okay? Structs are not functions. Can we not treat them like functions? They are not functions. Calling the constructor is not a function either. It's constructing. I mean, technically it is a function. Maybe it'll grow on to me, but like right now I'm not liking this. Also, this doesn't work. I mean, it does work, but it's annoying. Because like if I have like 20 fields, like do I need to just like expand this into like a list? Like it kind of looks weird. I think there's better options than this. But generally speaking, yes, putting functions with the data. Then again, it depends how you want to view a struct. Like by separating the functions from the actual struct members, it makes the struct look more like an actual struct, whereas like a class would be more abstract, you know? Whereas the struct is more concrete. Okay. Find one. Where's your bottle?
Don't you have glasses?
Look in my cupboard.
What's it look like?
Look in my cupboard.
Which one is it?
There's just look in the cupboard. It's the second. It's the one below the drying rack. Replace impl with trait to definitions that implements a trait for a given struct enum type. So impl some trait for type with trait some trait for type. No, I think imple's better. Look, like it's actually in the thing that implemented trait. I think this is fine, but like keep impl for this purpose, and then replace impl in definitions of whole extension methods. Replace impl t with trait. I don't know what this means, man. Stop using macros to emulate var args. Macros are largely used to work around the lack of var args in Rust. Yeah, dude, just build it in, please, for the love of God. All language designers hate var args, but handing out macros as a replacement is considerably worse. Why do they hate var args? I think variable arguments are really not that big of a deal. Instead, extend Rust's var arg support from extern functions to all functions. Extern functions can support var args. I agree with dropping macros. Like, one of the only things that macros are really good for, and actually doing some like HTML stuff that you shouldn't really be doing, is to have variadic arguments, which is why like format and print line, you know, those are macros. I mean, like, panic is a macro. Does it need to be? I don't know. I mean, it's probably a built-in thing anyway. It's probably not even a real macro. And like unreachable, it's also a macro, but again, like, does it need to be? Drop : Let's see where this goes. The distinction between path navigation and member access is not important enough to bother users at every single occasion. No! Instead of the IDE, use some syntax coloring. No syntax coloring from the IDE. The code should be readable regardless of what coloring you're using. Especially because, like, maybe the IDE can figure things out, but for like GitHub things or like whatever, or like website code, like Discord code, you know, that use very simple parsers, like they can't. I'm not sure they can differentiate as easily with the colors anyway. Use a different symbol. If it warrants having a different color, use a different symbol, or like a different way of writing it, because otherwise you're relying too much on IDEs, and the code becomes a lot less portable. So this I'm strongly against syntax coloring. In fact, let me add this to my list of philosophies. Reading code easily should not allow on external tooling. Now, yeah, straight up. Like, even like as far as like, you know how JetBrains, what do they call it? JetBrains mono glyphs. Glyphs, yeah, glyphs. Like you know how some fonts have glyphs, right? So like an arrow, like a dash greater than sign becomes an arrow, right? That's cool and really useful for reading, but it's totally optional. No language should like depend on that to have their code be readable. And likewise, you shouldn't have to rely on syntax coloring to be readable. Like, nothing, bro. Nothing. This I don't like. And like, what do you mean bother uses it every single occasion? Like, I don't think it's that much of a bother. And it's good for and it's good for static methods, which is really important. Having static versus like non-static, I think that's like actually like an important distinction. And like for namespaces, like fine, like use dot. You know, maybe that's a bigger question, but like use it in such a way that you don't have to rely on syntax coloring. Like maybe unify namespaces with classes, like or like modules with classes and structs, and like do it that way, you know. As, or at least make it make sense. It should either do type conversions or value conversions, but not both. Not to mention that as caused security vulnerabilities already. Using U16 max instead of U16 max potentially allows very long certificates. What's the difference between those two? What does as even do in Rust? Rust as. Oh, that's right. I have used this. Yeah, I'm not a fan of as either. I think it's better to just use from as a constructor. So like char : from and then true, right? Or like u8 : from true. So then you not only, well, avoid using as, but you also have a more concrete, well-defined syntax, like way of handling it. Like it's explicit that like, okay, I'm using this function from, as opposed to some like arbitrary constructor. Drop if let. I mean, I agree, but like, yeah. Like because you instead use the is design, then that's fine. If let is just a bit weird. I mean, Rust is still at this, right? Potentially. You know, feature is not well thought out if it has spawned 4 extensions proposals already. What proposals are those? Drop procedure syntax. Functions that return no useful value enjoy special syntax privileges over functions that return a value. Drop the syntax trigger and require this to be written down explicitly, like for every other type. I see. Like for void functions, you don't have to write void. You just simply do function nothing. This seems like a very opinionated addition. Like, the rest of these have actual consequences. This one is very much a non-issue. But I will say, besides consistency, which in this case I don't think matters, because again, like, it's void, but besides consistency, the cool thing about this is that it just makes it immediately clear. Whereas if it's missing, you may be like searching longer for the return type before you realize there isn't one. So I will say that. Yeah. So like that would be the reasoning for this. Otherwise, it's purely preference. Like I don't understand. But yeah, the reason I gave, I think, is a suitable enough reason to actually use this. Drop this in function signatures. Use colon. I agree. Look, the arrow looks awesome, at least with glyphs on. But why is it there? Like it has no reason to be there. Remove significance of semicolon. No shot semicolon is the plural of semicolon. Semicola? How about colon? The organ uses cola. Crazy. Alright, semicola. Varying the meaning of a piece of code based on the presence of a semicolon at a specific line is bad user interface design. Remove it and implement automatic semicolon inference such that IDEs can show them, but no user has to ever type them. Yes, if it works within Rust, of course. At this point, these are... Like, at this point, these... Okay, this is probably a better proposal for a new language. I think Rust is already so like deep in it that I don't know how they would handle that. Likewise with this wouldn't work for Rust as it is right now. That's also way too opinionated and should absolutely be a different language thing. Because of course there's other issues like, again, coloring for syntax highlighting is something that no Rust programmer, well, most Rust programmers are not going to agree with that, including me. But some interesting ideas anyway. If your sole wisdom on leaving semicolons out is JavaScript ASI, then you're not qualified to have an opinion on this. What? What's that? Okay, yeah, no, that's different. Okay. So these are the links, right? So let's have a read this first. The language changes budget. I've always loved programming languages. I spent plenty of time with many of them. Unfortunately enough, that language design is now part of my job. Huh? They're in the Rust team. Bro, I'd love to work on a language, bro, and get paid for it. In discussions about building Rust, I've noticed myself making a particular kind of argument often in design discussions. I like to call it the language changes budget. We chose to stick with curly braces because one of our major target audiences, system programmers, is currently using a curly brace language. Instead, we spend this strenuous budget on our major core feature, ownership and borrowing. I see what they're getting at. So they're saying that when you make a new language, you don't want to make it too strange, or else you will you will turn away potential attraction from existing programmers. I think this is really not worth worrying about. If your language is good enough, the syntax shouldn't matter, like straight up. Like I know it might be hard to get it off the ground, but I think languages like Odin and like Nim and like Zig have proved, well, maybe not so Zig, but like those, like there are languages that have proved that you don't need to have C syntax to get attention. And like Nim and Odin are like nothing particularly special anyway. But if you had a language like a proper, really convincing competitor to C++ and Java and all that had different syntax, it would get attention anyway from programming language enthusiasts. So that's good, and then that attention could be what kicks it off into, other areas of interest, like other circles of interest, and then your language should pop off, regardless of the syntax. Granted, also like the changes you make are logical, right? Like you have reasons for them that even if someone like looks at the language and says, "Oh, that's strange," they can also go, "But I like it. It makes sense. Hold on," and then they're on your language, you know? On the other hand, if you're trying to accomplish something different with your language, purposely blowing this budget can be useful too. Haskell is good because our slogan has been avoid success at all costs. That is hilarious. Is that true? Fuck. Article's gone. Shut up. As for the second, I don't know if you know this, but Haskell is a sort of unofficial slogan. Avoid success at all costs. I think I mentioned this at a talk I gave about Haskell a few years back. You get caught and spend ages talking about things that have nothing to do with the research side of things. I'm primarily a programming language researcher, so the fact that Haskell is up to now being used for just university types has been ideal. This is Simon Peyton-Jones knowing exactly what kind of language he wants to build. If you include no new features, then there's no incentive to use your language. If you include too many, not enough people may be willing to invest the time to give it a try. But like, what is enough people? Like, what do you want from a language? Like, do you want your language to like take over the world and like be like this dictator? No. You should want to create a language that's useful, and then even if it's used by a niche audience, if that niche audience gets really good use out of it, eventually it will make its way up there, and programmers will have to adapt to your language because it's so useful. Like, it cannot be ignored. If your language cannot do that, it isn't a good enough language in the first place. And that's with not with the syntax, not with the strangeness, with the language's core design. That's the issue. So if you have to use C syntax, I officially declare it's a crutch. You're using it because you literally have to depend on it because your language itself is not good enough. It's not good enough. My door closed. A language designer should give careful thought to how strange languages I choose right amount to accomplish. Okay. Anyway, Steve Klabnik. LLMs. Okay. You lost my interest already, bro. Does Rust have any design mistakes? This is a Reddit post. On old Reddit for some reason. Dude, why do people like old Reddit? Like, it actually fucking sucks to look at. Many of those languages have features they would definitely do different. Okay, there are some deprecated functions in standard, like standard mem initialized. I wonder what that's used for. Can I collapse this? There's also a problem with some range types as implement iterator. Okay. There's a GitHub issue labeled Rusty breakage wishlist. Okay, I'll look at that then. Unfixable design flaws. Okay, there's no way to be generic over the result of the hash. Hash always returns 264. This, for example, means that you can't simply plug some hash functions as an implementation of hasher without padding or truncating the resulting hash. Most notably, some cryptographic functions, hash functions like SHA-256. Some types have weird relationship with the iterator and iterator trait, like ranges, but also arrays. These existed before these traits were fully fleshed out. I see. Mutex poisoning, it severely hampers your ergonomics for what is arguably a niche feature that should have been optional. Deserved its own separate type, and definitely shouldn't have been the default. Okay, I don't know, I haven't used mutexes yet. Naming references mutable and immutable is inaccurate. In reality, they are unique and shared references. The shared reference can be mutable through interior mutability, so calling shared references immutable is simply false. It leads to weird confusion surrounding types like mutex and really anything unsafe self-oriented. Interesting. Many methods inside the library have inconsistent naming and API. For example, on char, the is family of methods takes char by value, while the equivalent is ASCII takes it by immutable reference. Vec is also a very poor chaser name. Yeah, I mean, Vec is purely because of C++. Again, like, familiarity, man. Don't bother. The bar checker implementation is incorrect. It does... Sorry, what? These are fixable. Okay, 4 years ago. The bar checker implementation is incorrect. It does correctly reject all barring violations. However, it also rejects some correct barring patterns. Okay. Rust makes no distinction between pointer size and offset size values. Usize and isize are pointer size, but are used in places where offset size values are expected, like indexing into arrays. Why is offset size different from pointer size anyway? Is it because U32 is big enough? This has the potential to severely break rust on some exotic CPU architectures where pointers and offsets are not the same size because pointers carry extra metadata. Oh, I didn't know that. This may or may not require breaking backwards compatibility to fix. This ties into issues with pointer provenance, i.e. how casting between pointers and ints and back should affect specified access permissions of the pointer. Rust is no easy way to initialize stuff in place. For example, box new instances view on the stack, passes it into new, and inside new it gets moved to the heap. Are you serious? The compiler is not reliable at optimizing the initialization to happen on heap directly. This may not randomly and unpredictably overflow the stack in release mode if you shove something large into the box. I assume that's been fixed now. But also just like generally, that's a really interesting thing. I think C++ solved this issue, right, with probably forward args. Because like then like at least like you're explicitly doing it. Having implicit optimization for this is kind of funky, and I don't know if I like it. The relationships between different types of closures, functions, and function pointers is very confusing. It puts rather annoying limitations on functional programming. Yeah. Cool. I wish stir and string were named in such a way as to clarify the relationship, like string ref and string buff. I agree. And like I can't call my string stir as well, which is kind of annoying. There's a whole bunch of outright mistakes. I mean, well, maybe you can, but it's obviously not recommended. But there's a whole bunch of outright mistakes in standard, like task context, sync, okay. As is a mistake. Macros are underdesigned. They were okay enough in practice, but a far cry from simple coherent system. Macros 2.0 is probably the most lagging post 1.0 feature of the language. Lagging or lacking? With async and const, the language is split into dialects. Yeah, like async Rust is a whole like phrase for some reason. Like why is it not just Rust? Also, how much of async relies on Tokyo? Money memory model is a good thing to have. We're already shifting from uninitialized to maybe on an int. Okay. Yeah, the fact that like len, fromster error, these shortenings are quite annoying. As performs narrowing casts. How the fuck did that happen? How did that happen? Surely I misunderstand, because there's no way. Anyway, Rust to breakage wishlist. There's only 7. Can I collapse this? Yep. Okay, there it is. As mute should have as ref as a super trait. Check methods and introduce to return results. Like what? More 2k pull requests. The check methods implement introduce to return results so they're usable with question mark. But the question mark doesn't work with option? The question mark doesn't work with option? I assume that's been done now, right? Surely. Try clone should be named something else. Redundant syntax, unnecessarily complication. For attributes. Okay. Hash type parameter should be sized. Multiple targets to ignore option. Okay. I'm surprised there aren't more here. Maybe they were removed, I don't know. Maybe they were removed. So many pull requests. Why are there so many? Oh, so was my pull request ever accepted? These are still open, dude. Please, May 21st. It's been over a month. Please accept it. Please accept it. It's one approval, but hasn't been merged yet, which is unfortunate. For the record, I'm not mad at the owner of this repository. I'm more mad at the system that it requires the owner, who may not have the time to even look at it. Russ Lang, Zulip chat. What's this? Broken and unfixable parts of Rusts. Dynamic iterator. We're gonna see bar. Why am I at the bottom? Oh, it's a chat. It's weird. Is some and is interesting. Analysis of Rust. I don't know, like, is some and. Obviously it's quite useful for Rust, but there may be better ways to do that. Analysis of Rust language design flaws. NimFsoft. Rust is a modern systems programming language focused on memory safety, concurrency, and performance, while all the first part feature. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the term fish syntax is funky. Lack of consistency, yeah. String versus string is annoying. Path and path buff is also quite annoying, actually. Method style, these are prefixes and suffixes. Iter, mute, and into iter. It's weird. Semicolons, despite being an expression-based language, which it actually is, although you wouldn't be able to tell necessarily right off the bat. Certain constructions like struct equations require mandatory semicolons, creating exceptional rules. Complexity and limitations of core features. Ownership of the bar checker, overly restrictive. To guarantee memory safety, the bar checker sometimes rejects code that is logically safe. Yeah, which is obviously always annoying for the programmer, because they know it's safe, so they have to, like, I don't know, wrap it in unsafe, I guess. Which is weird, because, like, why am I saying that my code is unsafe even though I know it's safe? Which is, like, also just, like, a kind of like an annoying naming thing. While non-lexical lifetimes have improved significantly, and the next generation bar checker, Polonius, is expected to resolve more issues, it remains a difficult concept for newcomers. Yeah, I mean, as it improves, and then you get less false positives. Steep learning, false negatives. Steep learning curve, I don't know. Concepts like ownership, borrowing, and lifetimes are uncommon in other mainstream languages, making the biggest hurdle. It's a criticism, but, like, it's not really like a criticism. It's more like a something to acknowledge if you want to learn the language. Ultimately, it's not like a bad thing. Asynchronous programming, like, overall, asynchronous programming with async await. Infectiousness, because async functions can only be called from async context. Using async in one private project tends to spread through the entire code base. Exact same issue in C#. It's really annoying. I've used async and await there, and fuck me, it is a pain in the ass, dude. Like you basically have to write your entire C# project in async await, and I think that's what this what Sock was saying about. Oh, not Sock. Maybe it was that Reddit post, or maybe it was Sock. I can't remember now. But saying that you basically have a different dialect of the language. Like, I go from writing Rust to writing async Rust, where my entire project is going to be async await Rust. And then, like, I have to, like, rewrite my entire things as well, with, like, because, like, anything that like interfaces with async await then has issues there, similar to how how like exceptions can be infectious. So that's really annoying. And you C#, like, that killed my passion for using Unity to work with C# projects, because that shit is so annoying, dude. I swear to God. trauma from that. But hopefully there are cooler ways to do it. Cancellation issues. Rust features can be cancelled at any wait point, but the lack of explicit handling mechanism can lead to subtle bugs. For example, using the select YSAT macro can unintentionally drop a feature, causing resources not to be properly cleaned up. Runtime dependency. Unlike JavaScript or Go, Rust does not provide a standard async runtime. The ecosystem is fragmented with competing runtimes like Tokyo and async standard, which can lead to compatibility issues. Yeah, I mean, why is it called async standard, bro? Like Tokyo, as I said, why? Like, it's weird that so many projects in Rust rely on Tokyo. Like, I'm all for, you know, user community, you know, made libraries and stuff, but the whole point of a standard is that you have standards. You know, like you have code that interfaces well with other code, and I think Rust kind of would just benefit from having a standard async thing, because well, specifically because of how infectious it is, such that like this having like these compatibility issues are like serious. They are serious issues, and really annoying to deal with. Modular code needs code bases that use compatible dependencies, so that is a huge consideration for a language that people don't really think about necessarily, because it's not the language's design itself, but more the ecosystem's design. The orphan rule and coherence. The orphan rule makes me want to actually shoot myself. The orphan rule, which prohibits implementing a trait from an external crate for a type, also load from an external crate, is often cited as a hindrance to code reusability and modularity. Yes, dude, this is so annoying. This, like, I was so excited that I could use Rust to finally make the modular system I want for my modding library, and then I was just hit in the face by the orphan rule, and it's like, so I just can't do, like, there's literally no way for me to do this besides maybe having some unsafe like interface using extra functions, and like it is so annoying. I was so excited and not possible. And like, why? Like, there's no reason for the orphan rule to exist. Just namespace it. Just namespace it. It's that simple. Maybe it's verbose, but like, at least it's possible. Like, verbose possible is better than impossible, and then just have existing code work the same by having the default namespace just be inferred from whenever you import. But then if I have collisions, you know, which is what the orphan rule seeks to prevent, then just have me do explicit namespaces. Why is that a rule? It's so stupid. What's a crucial rule for? No, it's not. No, it's not, bro. There are other ways. It's not crucial. There are other ways to prevent conflicts. Why does no one realize this? Genuinely, it's so stupid. Someone explain to me. Someone make it make sense. Because this here orphan rule is the number one thing I cannot stand in Rust. And as soon as a language comes along that like just fucking namespaces it so it's possible, it's done. I'm switching to that language. I don't care how shit the language is. I am using it because I need that. I need that for some projects. And I just Rust just doesn't support it, which is so stupid. I've heard there might be some like implementation issues for having like that kind of stuff be namespaced. But when the person explained it to me, I didn't understand, and when I asked questions about it, I guess they didn't understand my questions, or their response just wasn't answering my questions. I don't know what it was. I do not understand why this isn't possible. I did talk to Claude about it, and Claude agreed with me. But you know, Claude and fucking AI can just agree with you anyway. So I don't know. Like I need an actual opinion on this from someone who's like actually involved in Rust development or something. Was it crucial? No, it's not. It can be a major roadblock in large projects or with complex dependency graphs, which tends to be my projects because I like that stuff. Experimental efforts are underway to relax this rule. It does not need to be relaxed. It needs to be removed. It needs to be removed. Standard libraries dependency on libc. This is interesting. Rust on library standard relies heavily on libc. This makes it challenging. I don't know why. I guess because like libc is well optimized, but I feel like it can do better, and I think it might try to move away from it. But like this can be done, like fixed later. I assume. Hopefully it doesn't break backwards compatibility. This makes it challenging to build extremely low-level systems like operating systems with kernels using only pure Rust code. Yep. Projects like Redux OS are working to address this by rewriting libc in Rust. Awesome. I learned that Redux OS existed today, and regardless of what it is, this is a noble project. Incomplete features. Although Rust is a rapidly evolving language, some advanced features are still in the process of stabilization or have incomplete implementations. For instance, features like const generics and generic associated types (GATs) have only recently been stabilized or are still under development, which can limit the implementation of certain advanced programming patterns. Yeah, I mean, with time. But I feel like in the time it takes Rust to implement these, it's going to have the same issue as C++, where it's just adding features to a base that isn't working well with it, and then it's just going to have a really huge complexity. And, it's literally, at this point, it's fated to happen. Like, I think Rust, if Rust wants to survive, it has to break backwards compatibility. I don't see how it can avoid it. And you know what's weird? It can. Like, it totally can. Rust doesn't even have a stable ABI for starters. So that's already like a good opportunity to break backwards compatibility simply because the ABI isn't something that is a concern right now. Or like at least like breaking the ABI isn't a concern because there is no ABI standard one. So like that's already a good opportunity. And then Rust has additions. So like code bases also don't have to worry about breaking compatibility changes because the additions will take care of it. So like if you want to upgrade your code base to a new Rust version, then do the maintenance of actually upgrading it instead of just like, I don't know, expecting or like compromising the language's development because people are too lazy to upgrade their code base. And I say lazy because like, I don't know, hire someone to do it if it bothers them much or it's too expensive. Then don't use the new features. Like, if it's that much of an issue, then just don't use the new features. And that's you, bro. That's you. Don't like, it's kind of selfish to, like, impose that on the other language users who actually want to use a good language. So, I just don't get it. Usually when I don't understand something, it's because there's a good reason for it, and you know, maybe I'll realize and I'll say, you know what, actually I was mistaken, I didn't realize this. But like so far this has been on my mind for months, and it just confuses me and it annoys me because Rust has so much potential and it just ruins it. It just ruins it. I don't want to use Rust. I don't want to use Rust because I don't like it, bro. I don't like its decisions. I don't have faith in its future. Rust is an innovative language that solves the difficult problem of memory safety while maintaining high performance. Look, the cool was like, if it wasn't for the borrow checker, Rust would be pretty shit. Okay. Like, it copies a lot of ideas from functional programming, but copies them badly, or like doesn't like improve them as it imports those features, and it's just like, you could do so much better, but you've kind of just like created a language with a borrow checker, and then taken features from functional programming without really like innovating on them, to like just taking them, you know, at like face value, and it's like cool. Like the language just has a lot to be desired, dude. It's rough. It's rough. However, the design decisions made to achieve these goals have resulted in trade-offs, massive ones, including complexity, steep learning curve at times, and excessive restrictions. Yeah. Yep. And so I'm doomed to keep using C++. I mean, fuck me, dude. I don't want to use C++, please. But I literally, like, the options are grim. The options are grim. Right, what is NMF solved? NMF is a lightweight and efficient input method editor designed for Unix, like operating systems. It aims to provide a fast and resource-friendly typing experience. Ooh, do I use nymph? I don't know if I use nymph or not. Let me check. Yay. Is it SOI? What? I guess I don't have it. Is it query? Yeah. Nymph. I don't have nymph. So what do I use? I can't remember. But it works pretty well for me. At least for Japanese. Chinese might be different. These are different projects. What the fuck am I saying? Sims is a common input method. Okay. NimF software. Nice Anki deck. This is learning resource remembering HSK Zat Hong Kong and Pinyin with Anki. This includes all 3,000 Chinese characters of the new HSK 3.0. No, I'm guessing that this is like the common or something? Standard or whatever? Yeah, the Hanyu... Hanyu? What? What? 我爱汉语，我会说汉语，学评考试。Dude, this looks so like fucking Japanese right now. My brain's actually tweaking. I see. Okay, so it's like the Japanese whatever the fucking list is called that has characters that you should memorize, the kanji list, right? Yeah, this is cool. I haven't used Anki in a while, and I probably won't even download this. I mean, can I see like a preview? Is that a direct link? Yes. Is that it? I would appreciate a bit more information on this, please. Is it just for reading? Is that it? Like why? Like cool, but like what does I mean? I don't know. Anyway. And this is the other article. I just read it. Okay. Ooh, man, Rust. That was a rant and a half, dude. Rust is such a frustrating language. I want to love it, but it does not deserve my love. Yeah. Dude, oh my god. Like, don't get me started on like Rust libraries. I'm using Leptos to escape from TypeScript, and what the fuck? I wanted to write Rust, like, I wanted to write a website in Rust. Instead, I'm writing TypeScript in Rust, using macros. I hate it. I don't want to use macros to write HTML embedded in my Rust. I don't want that. I don't want some like declarative language using macros. I want to just write it in Rust. Just give me Rust, man. But that's what I'm doing right now, so fuck me. Maybe I'll get used to it, but it's just really bizarre, and it sucks that Rust even supports that in the first place. I think it'd be better if it just didn't support that, because then we wouldn't have stuff like that. Rust and mistakes. Okay, Rust struct and initialization. This would be an interesting read, I think. I'm just gonna get some water first. What do I appreciate about Rust, first of all? I appreciate that even if the features for functional programming are not implemented in the best way, or like portioned in the best way, they still exist. Like having tagged unions is really useful. Trying to implement that in C++ is a pain in the ass. Supporting pattern matching to any capacity is really useful. Again, C++ is late on that right now. I would say const by default, but like, or like immutable by default, but like, it's not, because like when I think of immutable by default, I think of like C++, but everything is const by default and I opt out, which is fine. Like that's great. But Rust's immutability is different because the compiler wants you to structure your code in such a way that is actually optimal for non-mutable code, and that can look really weird, and I don't like that because I do actually like the abstraction of mutability, at least, you know, because like under the hood is still so yeah. Anyway, enough. Language design, Rust structure like this. That was a mistake. So Rust has distinct syntactic facilities for invoking functions, initializing structs and enums, initializing tuples, structs, and enums. Dude. Tuples are so bad, bro. I hate tuples so much. Unnamed. I hate tuples, man. And like the fact that they different syntax than structs and Rust as well, it's just the salt of the wound. Okay, they provide different affordances and features. Bro, are you serious? If you are telling me that the reason that you cannot have named function arguments is because tuples exist, I'm gonna crash out, bro. I'm gonna crash the fuck out. Method arguments are positional and cannot be named. Huge annoyance in Rust. I assume this is not because of tuples. If it is, that is evil. Initializer arguments are named, and what looks like positional arguments is a special shorthand notation. Yeah, dude. Can we talk about how fucking stupid this is? Like, you can't name function arguments, which is like the more useful thing, but you have to name in like the struct ones. Like, huh? Why? Why is it one but not the other? Managed traits. Why is it one but not the other? Initializer arguments for tuples, structs, and enums look like method arguments, but are initializer arguments without shorthand notation. Ah! Struct. We like this. It makes sense. It's simple. The commas are definitely unnecessary, but like, you know, it works. It's cool. It's a struct. Tuple struct. Why? Why? Even worse, bro. Bool? Which is like the last unnamed like thing you should use as unnamed. Literally the only use that tuple structs have, i.e. structs with unnamed like parameters, is so that you can make up for a stupid type system that doesn't let you have named function parameters. Like it's only an issue because it's like, oh, but like if I have a function and I need to pass a boolean, it's unclear what true and false means. Yeah, if you just had fucking named arguments, it wouldn't be a problem. Just do that. Ah. And Rust still doesn't support it, by the way. After like, you know, in the big 26, like we're gonna get GTA 6 before Rust supports named arguments. Here's a function, username string, email string. You can just pass it directly. This is so annoying as well. Like, Function main, like, I don't know, like, obviously it's better than having it be redundant, but like, why even have it be a thing in the first place? Function main, user into. Also, like, don't into is so annoying. Can we also like just acknowledge that? Like, into what? Like, at the core side, there's literally no like at this point, you are like one step off of just having implicit casting, like literally, like, or like implicit construction. Because like, why is it like, this doesn't help me? Like, if you remove this, all it would tell me is that, oh, by the way, user definitely doesn't take sorry, having this, all it tells me is that user doesn't take a string reference, but it could take anything else. If I remove this, then it tells me that it could be string reference or something else. Like, either way, I don't really care. Why do I need to explicitly do this? Like unless I'm saying what the type is, this is just stupid. Like there's no reason for it to be there. It's not that helpful. It really isn't that helpful. Again, named arguments and or like have from, string from this, which, by the way, you can do, which is optional. You can optionally do that. So now there are two ways to do things, and one of them is the worst way to do it. Like, bro. I'm gonna, Some of these issues come by Rust implementing most features half the time. Diverging code styles and best practices. The unwieldiness of structured initialization combined with a lack of named default parameters has... Dude, wow. Why do Rust structs not have default initialization fields? At that point, you almost 100% want to use a custom constructor. Which, like what was the goal then, Rust? Like, oh, well, it makes it sure that you don't have implicit default values. Well, if I call a constructor from function, guess what? I get default hidden values anyway. So what's the fucking point? I mean, at least you can do it by constructors, but then, like, constructors should be the only way to initialize it. Just make it consistent, or like something, or make it make sense, make it convenient. Has led to diverging code styles and best practices. Like, Rust isn't even that late into its life, and it already has diverging code styles and best practices, which is just so annoying. Like a structure pattern, which is a good pattern, and should be the default. Sorry, Rust unofficial GitHub.com. What's this about? This is like a guide on how to do stuff in Rust. Wow, that's actually crazy. That there is this big of a guide. Just to have like a standard, because the you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Java, where the core language was so lacking in features that there were patterns that were so cumbersome and redundant to write that became like the norm, and like it just makes writing Java have so much boilerplate, because like you have to write all these things like, oh, I want to have this, I need to write this pattern, I want to have, like in Rust, I want to have a struct, I need to write like immediately write a constructor pattern, which is redundant as hell. For Java, it's probably the easiest example is getters and setters, right? Whereas like C# at least has them built in, builders. What the fuck is a builder? Dude, the builder pattern, by the way, sucks. Like, okay, well, let's look at it first. This is Ruby, right? Option string. I feel like option should also have like a special syntax. I do appreciate Zig for having the question mark, I think, or maybe exclamation mark. For optional types, I said that might even. I think that's true, because of how frequent they can be used. Same with like Swift, I think. Maybe. Like, the user might not have an email, the user might not have a first name, they might not have a last name. Yeah, that's perfectly idiomatic, you know? This syntax highlighting is frying me, but... W Ruby. Holy moly, I might actually have to learn Ruby now. In Rust... Dude, someone who said, yeah, this is correct. We should do this. Why? It's not even beneficial. It's not even beneficial. No one is benefiting from this being here. This doesn't no one reads this and go, yeah, last name is none. Yeah, of course. Like, dude, I forgot last name was there. Thanks for reminding me. Like, no, bro. Like, just look at the definition. Like, it's there, bro. Also, like, some toString. Look at Ruby, dude. Look at Ruby. It's either something or nothing. Like, it's like, call it syntactic sugar, but like it's good. And guess what? C++ also supports this. It's actually an instance where C++ has done a better job than Rust in implementing a feature, which actually isn't a rare thing, I must say. But like, dude. Yes, another reason why I'm inclined to keep using C++, even though I really don't want to. Like, when I first started using C++, like Rust, this killed me. What do you mean I have to do some example.toString? Or like string from? Also, why is toString even a method? Like, why is that even a thing when string from exists? Like toString, but like string is like a type with a capital S? What the fuck? Further proof that to is bad. You should use from instead of to. Use from, not to. How do I do that? Fuck, Control tab? No, Shift tab. Dude, Rust is getting replaced, bro. If Rust doesn't die, I'm gonna be more mad than I am about C++ not dying. Like, I mean, die is a strong word, but I mean just like, get replaced, dude. For fuck's sake. This question to Ruby's keyword arguments, but you have to set all fields, the last name is none. It works well, but it can be verbose and annoying. Like, programming should not be stressful, okay? I don't want to like have Bjorn's hair because I had stress programming. Essentially, we can implement a new constructor. We can, but like writing this is verbose. It's redundant because like we're just copying these. So it's like why do we even bother? Why do we even like why can this not just be built in at that point? Which could be used in the following way. Is anything different? Not really. Like we can exclude these, but we still have this verbose shit. And then we still have to list values for all the fields, but now it's much easier to screw up by passing values in the wrong order because order matters. Yeah, the new type technique could help us here, but this article is not about that. W bear emoji. The builder pattern. Sorry, I forgot. I literally forgot I was reading a thing on the builder pattern. The builder is an extra structure that provides an ergonomic interface to set values in a method. Yeah, this is. I want to cry, dude. I just want to cry. Like, I want to cry, bro. Can I cry now? What the fuck is this? Chat, is this Rust or Java? Is this Rust or Java? And it was funny. Java had the same, like, no defaults mentality. And look where it got it. And like, why? Look, the builder pattern is an elegant, intelligent, okay, well, elegant maybe not, but like it's an intelligent solution to this problem. My issue is not the pattern itself. Like, props to whoever came up with it. The issue is that it's needed in the first place. It's like, it should not. We shouldn't need this. We shouldn't need this. Look at how verbose this is. Like, I mean, for this particular implementation, you are creating a struct that is a copy of the other struct. Copying, like, first of all, you have this, which is a new self, so that's just redundant with nuns and other default values. Then we have an email, first name, last name. So then you have to copy each of these fields into here as well. Have your mutable self, and then write it here with an impl into whatever the type is, you know, and then and then you do that, and then you return the self. You return the self, and then you have this. We have whatever the fuck let self syntax is. I've never seen this in my life, but okay, I guess it implicitly does this then. Why not just do self email, self first name? I mean, I feel like that wouldn't be such a big deal. Let self, maybe because then you have to do the email : self dot email, and like, what Rust? What the fuck are we doing? And then we also have to go ahead and then implement for user as well. So we can have user and then have a builder, which is calls the user builder new function. So we have some like interaction, and then finally we get this, and it's like, dude, this is 3 fields in a struct. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So how does this have implicit casting, or like implicit conversion to string? Into. So it must implement into string, and then we call it here. So either way, like, congratulations, it's still possible to fucking write implicit conversions anyway. Bro, if I drank like alcohol, like beer, I think I'd be dead by now from like stress drinking. Let me just cool down real quick. Awesome. Okay, mandatory fields. Yeah. Yep, I've seen enough. Props to this article. Well done. But, like, I hate Rust for even having to do that. What's new type? Is that language? It's a crate. Option structs. What have I done yet? This is like one of like a few things, bro. Option structs. What is an option struct? I thought that was Twitter for a second. Init struct pattern Less like initialization of complex structures in Rust. The first and most common way to initialize structures is declaring a function in the struct with the following signature, the new function, which should really be built into the language, honestly. Or like something like that, I don't know, dude. Self init me. Yep, look at that. The more things I have, the more I have all of this. In some other file, or maybe even another crate, we now have to construct this type unless you've looked at the definition when you're ready. There's also another problem with this pattern. It makes things breaking changes when they don't have to be. Yep. Build your pattern. Where's the option struct? Oh, this. Okay, ignoring the non-exhaustive. Impl defaults for yak shaver init. Yeah, what is a default trait? Like what's it actually do? This. Dude, Rust actually. This is actually pissing me off now. Like, what the. I hate how this language is so unergonomic. Like, it's kind of insane. Are you seeing this? Oh, I see. So you just have another struct basically that has a default. So then you okay, whatever. Right, default hacks. Yeah, the default trait. Every feature language improvement, such addition will change the scale slightly, causing churn due to another technique, probably the next best practice, and most likely only apply to either struct initializers or method calls, but not both. Leaders ambiguity. Using this for structurization also means that something as trivial as this appears to be syntactically ambiguous. Huh? I mean, your types, your struct should have capital F's, but like, yeah, sure. No comment. Lack of consistent type rules for type of subscriptions. Using this for sectionalization means it's not possible to use this as a type description. Languages from the 70s managed to get this right. Rust somehow managed to regress on that. Failing to ship type descriptions. And giving up on it after 8 years. Damn. A solution. Yeah. Okay. Now, I disagree with this using this for structs. No. The issue is not that. You shouldn't call it like this anyway. You should just have a fucking new keyword instead, and have that be the constructor. And if you want to construct something, you use a new keyword. That's it. And then there's a default one always. And if you want to override it, you can. That is the solution. Like, it's not even that deep, dude. It really isn't. This is quite handy. Obviously. Default parameter. Even for like default parameters, if you just have the new function like be a requirement, then you can do it that way. But like, it's just verbose, isn't it? Yeah. Appendix, need to look at the role of equals. Okay. Some function a equals 23. What do you mean? What does this mean? Or just don't allow assignment like this unless like it's on its own line. Like this is just weird. It really shouldn't assign anyway. But yeah, I think .a though is the best way to do it. It works for structs, but like this is also pretty good. This is just bizarre. Okay. And finally, before I end this recording, because it's now 2 a.m., it's been 3 hours, and I'm actually dying right now from reading all this. Rust's Almost Rules, inspired by Almost Rules. Okay, syntax, very short. Colon is followed by a type. Except inside structure initializer is where it's followed by value. Yep, inconsistency. Except function result types, which are pretty speed like this. Again, inconsistency. Inconsistencies are annoying. Generics use this. Except in expression context uses a turbofish operator. It's so fucked that they literally have to make a name for it, so people would like not be mad about it. And they sort of give it a funny name. Invocations use this, except where this or this is used because they convey important information. Except for macro invocations, where this and this and this are equivalent and interchangeable. Sorry, interchangeable? You're joking. I refuse to believe that. T in the test is... Nah. Function main is never used. Are you serious? No. Oh. What? Why? What the fuck? Why? I'm being mocked. Who the fuck is this person and why what the fuck? I don't I mean I wasn't aware of this because conventionally you just wouldn't do this. I knew that other braces existed, but I thought they were baked into the syntax. I didn't know you could just mix and match. I mean, well, not mix and match, but like mix. Well, not mix, but like use them interchangeably. That's insane. That is the worst. That's like top 10 worst features designs I've ever seen in a programming language. Up there with like, I don't know, the fucking comma operator being overloadable in C plus plus, and like not having default named arguments in functions. This initializes a struct, except inside an if, which has a branch. Types are uppercase, except primitive types. Yep, except the primitive types array, slice, tuple, and unit. Well, that's because they don't even use text. Rust doesn't have var args, except for extern functions and macros. Which is like basically like, which makes like that the only real good reason for you that you should use a macro anyway. And I will also like reflection, but like damn bro, reflection. Like you can't do like a different way, except in patterns introduce bindings, except macro pattern matching where the same syntax matches identifies verbatim. Tie to the total order, implement EQ and ORD, except these two which do not. I thought they were partially EQ, no? Because of like nan and affinity, no? Maybe not then. Structure initializers use temporary lifetime extension, except tuple structs, except when using curly braces to initialize tuple structs. Why can you even use curly braces to initialize tuple structs? That's just weird. I don't want to play anymore. Well, I'm not done. There's just all this. Oh, now I understand what the thing was saying about namespaces before. So, what the fuck? So Rust actually has different namespace categories, such that if I have a struct and a function and I guess a macro, all of the same name. I mean, macros are less of an issue because they have the exclamation mark, but like for structs and functions, they just can have the same name, and it's not a collision. I mean, I understand, but like it's not good practice, and I wouldn't allow it, honestly. This versus values namespace. Wait, why is a function in the values namespace? So I can have a struct X, but I can't have like a function X and like a const, no, not const, but like a let X together. Is that what it's saying? I don't understand. Except this is almost a rule. There are some cases where a compiler gives up on clear syntax-driven namespacing rules and just does ad hoc disambiguation. Okay. Anyway, this has been quite a wild ride that I don't. Bro. Those who know. That was surprisingly unproductive as well. Like I really did not get much from that. I mean, it's mistakes, so like it was bound to just be doom and despair. Thank you, Sock, for covering these. Very cool. I'm flabbergasted. What I've learned is that Rust is even worse than I thought, and I feel validated for my pre-existing criticisms of it. What the fuck? Wow, okay, tomorrow I'm going to look at this stuff, which will be much more exciting. I can't wait to do that, because it will actually be fun to read, unlike that shit. That's crazy. That is insane, dude. That's insane. I could cry. That's so insane. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Subscribe for more videos. This is quite something. Again, thanks to Sock. I'll link their thing in the description if you want to have a look at their articles, because they're very cool, insightful, and although I don't see eye to eye on everything, I just appreciate stuff being written down and shared. So, and there's, I mean, I'm sure there's some really good ideas as well in the other posts. In particular, the stuff there was more. I mean, those mistakes, dude. Oh my days, Rust. I'm done, bro. I'm done. Subscribe.